Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in to the Swish. I appreciate you all coming out to check us out. We have a very special guest joining us today. Like always, my co-host here, Rafael Nieto. Say hi, Rafa.
What's going on, everybody?
There's a little technical issues, but we'll sort it out right now. Mirin Fader, thank you for joining us. She is an author and writer for The Ringer and has a new book coming out, Giannis, The Rise of an Improbable NBA MVP. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
We wanted to well, thank you for joining us, and we wanted to start off by talking about the work that you've done. You've appeared on various publications, Bleacher Report, Ringer. Right off the bat, because myself, I tend to write from time to time. I've written for Fansided and other small websites, and it's a passion of mine that I also enjoy. How did you get your start, especially getting into Bleacher Report, and then from there transferring over to the Ringer?
Yeah, I used to be a basketball player, so I really loved basketball and kind of took it as far as it could go. I played my first year in college, and I was really looking for a way to like stay in basketball somehow. And I had loved to write just in my personal life as a kid, but I never thought writing could be a career. But then I thought maybe like basketball writing, like maybe I could be a sports writer. And when I was in college, I didn't really get a whole lot of internships because I didn't have much experience and I went to a really small school. But I started pitching to publications like Slam Magazine and Dime Magazine and SB Nation. And that's how I started to get some articles out there. And I started my career at the Orange County Register, which is a daily newspaper near me.
Awesome.
So yeah, so I was there for 4 years, and then I went to Bleacher Report. So that's kind of how I got started.
Awesome. That's great. It's always I always find it interesting to like hear how everyone got their start. We had an interview a couple of weeks ago with another author that wrote a book from hang time to prime time, and Pete Corrado, and he was telling us about his journey as well. So I always enjoy it. And Bleacher Report. So you got in really early on with Bleacher Report, because I remember back then around 2008, 2009, it was basically like open to anyone, like because
Yeah.
it was like that's how it started, and now they've started getting with more with a tougher what do you call it, like um entry to get in there with Bleacher Report. What year did,
Contractual writers.
yeah, contractual writers, there you go. What year did you start writing for them?
Yeah, so I started as a freelancer in 2017. My first assignment was to go to Philly to profile Monet Davis. And then I freelanced for that entire year while I was still at the newspaper I just mentioned. And then 2018 is when I went to Lithuania for the LaMelo Ball story that you mentioned. And then I got hired full time after that. So 2018 um, through 2020 was staff writer, but I had essentially been writing there since 2017.
Oh wow, that's awesome. uh I want to talk about if Rafa has any questions right now before we move on to the article of Lamelo.
I I do, and it is there might be a lag here with me. So again, I apologize about that. But Mirin, I wanted to go back to your earlier days, right, where you played college basketball, but at the same time, it occurred to you, at a certain moment that you wanted to be a writer. Did you have any passion for writing earlier in your life, right? Maybe in elementary, in high school, in junior high school, or is it something that sprung up all of a sudden during college?
Yeah, it was like the first day that I played basketball was actually the first day I began like diary writing, like journaling.
Okay.
And, I was just like, oh my God, I love basketball. I tried out this thing, so it was just like a childhood thing that I did every day, and then that turned into like in school, in high school, like I was really not good at math, but English was my fave. And, I just really like to write. But again, like I didn't really think much of it. I had a major injury in high school. I tore every ligament in my one of my feet. And suddenly I just had so much time on my hands. And that was the first time I started reading books that weren't like assigned to me in school. So I was like reading for fun for the first time. And then when I went to college and I had such a difficult experience playing basketball and just like did not like the school I was at, the library became like a refuge for me. And that's when I really fell in love with writing and reading and just being exposed to like so many different things outside of sports, and like an intellectual awakening for me, I guess. But then I was like, I really miss basketball. And so I think it was a process as far as like trying to combine those two. And it wasn't until I was done with basketball the next year, I was like, you know what, I pushed basketball as far as I could go. Like, this isn't working out the way that I wanted it to. Like, what am I going to do with my life? You know, fairly common for a college student to wonder. And I was like, I have no idea, but I love basketball and I love writing. So I just did both.
That's great. Very, very interesting. Thank you for that.
Who are some of your favorite authors or writers in the business that you admire, you looked up to, or might have been some sort of inspiration for you to start in writing for Bleacher Report and The Ringer?
Yeah, I really love Toni Morrison. Like, I was introduced to Toni Morrison in college and I just became so obsessed, and just her fiction is just phenomenal. And another writer I really love is Louise Erdrich. And so I did my I can't speak today, senior theses on Toni and Louise in college. So I just enamored by those two writers. And then when I became a sports writer, I just became obsessed with Wright Thompson, Gary Smith, Jeff Pearlman, Jonathan Abrams. Like, these were all writers Lee Jenkins, that I just like really wanted to emulate. So yeah, I still love those writers, obviously.
That's awesome. And you're currently writing for The Ringer. You started not that long ago. Was it early in the year?
I started December 2020. Yeah, so I changed jobs December 2020.
I'm a huge fan of The Ringer. Rafa as well. We loved Bill Simmons when he had Grantland as well. How is it working there with The Ringer? How has the atmosphere been there? How's it been, the team, the crew, everyone there over there at The Ringer?
It's great. I really like my editor, Matt Dollinger, and he actually used to edit Lee Jenkins. So when I found out Matt was going to be my editor, I was so excited. And, they just let me do the articles that I'm really passionate about, and subjects that I'm interested in. And, we're working on audio stuff as well. So it's been really, really awesome. I'm super relieved to be in a space that is, both writing and audio. And I really like it.
That's awesome.
Starting a new gig in the middle of a global pandemic. I'm sure that also had its challenges.
Yeah, it was really weird. I wasn't expecting to leave Bleacher Report. They laid off everyone except for me, and so I still had my job there, but I didn't have an editor. So I was like, I can't work here anymore. And so I was like, all right, what am I going to do? Should I just stay, figure it out? Or, so when the opportunity presented itself, I was like, oh, perfect. Because I've always wanted to write for The Ringer.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love The Ringer. A lot of their articles. Me and Rafa, we're huge fans also of Shea Serrano. We follow
him he's great
early on. So we're familiar with The Ringer. One of your pieces, though, for Bleacher Report, the profile you did on LaMelo Ball, what was that experience like? Were you able to profile LeVar Ball as well up close, or was it just strictly LaMelo's basketball games over there in Lithuania?
Yeah, I got to talk with LeVar for that as well. And it was really interesting because this was just such a young kid thrown into such a difficult circumstance. And, not everyone embraced him the way they are now. So it was really controversial for them to make this move. And so it was really interesting trying to watch a boy try to be a man in the strangest of environments. It was very cold. It was very different from California. He's out of place. Everyone's out of place. I'm out of place. So it was just like very interesting. And I think it just really shaped him in a lot of ways and created even more resilience that, he already had, and some. So it was fascinating.
Why, Mirin? Why? And this, who knows? This is a question maybe for his dad, right? But why Lithuania?
Yeah, I've also thought that as well.
Well,
No,
I
and no offense to the country or anything. It's just that when I think of a strong European basketball league, I think of Italy, I think of Spain.
Yeah, so basically, they weren't trying to go to a strong league. They were trying to go somewhere that was terrible competition so they could dominate. And even when they got there, LeVar pulled them out of the league that they were in, and they started playing against younger, more awful competition. So the article was also about like just how LeVar tried to like really orchestrate this so his sons could look really good. So, and Lithuania, this club was also willing to give him whatever he wanted. So whatever promo he wanted to coach, take over the team, do all this, they let him. Not a whole lot of clubs would do that because they're professional clubs. But this organization was like, yes, please, we'd love the clout off of, do whatever you want. So that's another reason why they went there.
I remember some of that when when that whole family was over there. I remember something after like the first game, basically making it very clear they were going to let him do whatever it is that they wanted to do, particularly the father. So.
Yeah. So it's golden opportunity. Each side gets money. It was kind of a sham. So it was weird reporting that, because everyone was like thinking it was this great thing. And I was like, no, actually, it's kind of awful quality of basketball.
But this definitely helped LaMelo in terms of getting them more recognition, more spotlight to prepare him for the NBA draft. Because afterwards, this is another piece that you wrote that he went to Australia. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
What was that experience also? Because you got to travel over there.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I feel so lucky to have gone to two countries I probably would never be able to afford or go on my own. And but LaMelo was in a much better place in Australia, and he got to have some freedom from his dad. And so I was just very curious, again, this maturation process. He's slowly coming into his own as a person, as a man. And just, he was really open and reflective about the ways in which he's been exploited his whole life. And I think the key quote that'll always stick with me is just him saying, people treat you like a dollar sign. So it was just very interesting to see him in that environment.
Wow, that's great. It's very interesting to see how his his career just started, but how all the buildup from that family and with Lonzo already in the NBA, how that paved the way for him to make it to the league, and it's interesting. I mean, this is a question that I always ask. Me and Rafa talk about basketball every other day, so we're always talking about every scenario and every draft pick and everything. I wanted to ask you: did you predict LaMelo based on the profile that you did and everything, him coming all the way up to the NBA and the draft and him going to Charlotte? Like, I mean, was it something that you said by profiling him, saying, you know what, he has a future, he looks like he could make an impact as soon as he gets into the NBA?
I mean, I knew he was going to go top 3 based on what I was hearing, but I had no idea that he was going to be this good or contribute at all. Like, I had no idea. I think everyone is lying if they say I knew, because not me, but them. They knew, and none of us knew. All I knew is that he was just really confident in himself, and he believed in himself. That was very clear to me. He knew he could make an impact at the next level. I genuinely wasn't sure. His defense was spotty. He showed tremendous court vision, all the things you see now he was doing, but shot selection was kind of strange. I wasn't sure, would a team throw him out there? Would they set him? There was a million scenarios that could have happened. So I had no idea, to be honest.
I mean, and he comes out winning Rookie of the Year, so that's also a surprise with a small market like Charlotte. Rafa, did you also think he was going to make it this big?
No, absolutely not. I remember reading somewhere a few years ago, I think it was his brother's freshman year in UCLA, where I guess, LaMelo must have been 16 or something at the time. And the article saying, wait for his brother, LaMelo. He's really the star of the family. This, Ivan. I've never been like a big fan of of the way his father has handled the whole situation. I guess overselling his kids their talent to the point where it's ludicrous, right? Oh, they're better than so and so. They could beat so and so on a one-on-one, etc. So when I read that, it just seemed like another tall tale story.
Yeah.
But reading sports articles all over the internet during training camp leading into the season, talking about how he's the real deal, it slowly started to become maybe that article that I read so many years ago had some truth to it.
Yeah. And LiAngelo Ball, what has happened?
And he was rookie of the year.
And what has happened of LiAngelo during your profile of LaMelo? Was LiAngelo there as well, or was he supportive? I mean, I haven't heard anything of him since.
Yeah, for the Australia one, he visited, but just I don't know if I know he's tried out for a couple teams in the NBA and had a couple of G League invites, but nothing really recently.
I think the last I heard he had a G League for Oklahoma City, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I didn't hear anything after that. So who knows? But I mean, I loved the article. I mean, everything you did on LaMelo and his whole family. That was very, very great. I wanted to say thank you for that. That was awesome.
Well, thank you.
I wanted to move on now to talk about it's perfect timing as well because we're in the middle of the NBA Finals about your book. Giannis, for anyone out there that doesn't know, Mirin Fader, a writer for The Ringer, she is the author of the upcoming book, Giannis, The Improbable Rise of an NBA MVP. I'm putting up the picture right now so y'all could see. It comes out August 10th, right?
Yes.
Okay, so August 10th, you could buy it anywhere they sell books, off of Amazon. I already pre-ordered it. So I wanted to talk to you about Giannis, him and his brothers, and like you said, the rise to NBA fame and how he's doing right now. How did you get started with this with the book and with profiling Giannis? Did you pick that you wanted to write a book on him, or was it something that someone suggested, or how was that process?
Yeah, it started because I did a story on Giannis and his youngest brother, Alex, for Bleacher Report back in summer of 2019. And the story came out and it got a lot of good response. And people were like, I've never really seen this side of Giannis. It was just, it revealed more about Giannis than it did about Alex, who the profile was originally about. And so I just thought, how come we don't really know much about Giannis? He's a superstar, but we don't really know much. We just know he grew up in very tough circumstances and then, catapulted himself into superstardom, but we really don't know much of anything. So I just thought, maybe this could be a book. So I did the proposal in late 2019 after I came home from Australia for that story we were just talking about. And we essentially shopped it around early 2020 to different publishing houses. And then, I was fortunate enough to secure a deal in March 2020. And then I spent the whole pandemic doing the book. And then I turned it in March 1st, 2021 of this year. So crazy time to be locked in your apartment.
And were you able to meet or interview any Giannis or any of his brothers? And if so, how was that like?
Yeah, so I definitely have the interview of when I interviewed him for the story. I went to their home, I interviewed his mom, I interviewed all the brothers. And then actually right before the pandemic in February 2020, I flew to Milwaukee to interview the brothers again. And then I got Costas again here in LA because he was playing for the G League team at that point. So literally right before the world shut down, I talked with them again. And it was great. I mean, I think family, we all know family is so important to him. And so I feel super thankful to have gotten to talk with them and figure out what are some defining life moments for Giannis and, how can I best tell the most accurate book possible. So yeah, I'm really thankful for that.
Because he seems like such a stand-up guy, very nice. He values family, loyalty. He just signed the contract with Milwaukee, and now after last year that they lost to the Miami Heat, and now that they're in the NBA Finals, 1 win away, it just seems like everything that he's worked for, it's all coming like together, and perfect timing for the book as well.
Circle.
Yeah, full circle. It's perfect timing. What do you think right now of the NBA Finals? Are you a fan of the Bucks?
I, I I have a vested interest in them winning, because if they win, that helps my book. I'm a human being. I can admit that. Normally we don't cheer in the press box, but yes, I would love for the Bucks to win. But no, just you gotta just respect Giannis and his journey. Of course, he deserves a ring. So does Chris Paul. But like, obviously, I didn't do a biography of Chris Paul. But I just think
the book
awesome.
Is called Giannis, not Chris.
It's called Giannis, okay? It's not called CP3. I just knowing, like, not just what Giannis has been through in his own personal life, but what the Bucks have gone through as a franchise, as a city. A big part of the book is just the rise of Milwaukee, and from its inception of people saying it can't be a basketball city, and talking to fans, talking to staffers, talking to old coaches, talking to old players. The amount of Bucks people I talked to for this book is plenty, and I think I just feel very happy for them to have come this far, because they never anticipate winning. They are always expecting disappointment and always getting the short end of the stick, and it's just very nice to see them have their moment.
Right now that the Bucks are up 3-2, how have you? Because I know that his brother was not cleared. Did something happen to him during the NBA Finals? I think he's actually out for the remainder. I read somewhere, but what do you think? I mean, what have you heard of that? I wanted to talk a little bit about that, because what I saw was very vague about him being out.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know. It's all been kept under wraps about Thanasis, so I don't have any new reporting on that, unfortunately.
Okay. And so now that the book is out on August 10th, do you have anything else that you have lined up coming up, or you just want to see how everything goes with the release of the book before lining up something else? Or is that something maybe in the future? Would writing a second book be something that you've thought of, or you just enjoying the process right now?
Yeah, I would love to do a second book. I'm kind of thinking of a couple ideas right now. I've set a goal for myself to turn in a proposal for a second book by December of this year. I don't quite yet know who. I have a couple people that I'm thinking about. It's really hard because, it's easier when it comes out of a story like this one, but it's also exciting to start something brand new. So I'm trying to think, like, do I turn a story into a book again, or should I just start over? Or like, I'm really excited, and it's been so weird doing a book because I've never done one before. And so now I know the process. I'm excited to have this under my belt and move forward. I have another story coming out this week on The Ringer that I'm excited about. I've been working on it for a while. So I can't wait for that to come out this week. So just going to continue writing, as many features as I can.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Rafa, one thing.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, no, one thing I definitely wanted to mention, and if I start to lag here with the bad signal that I'm getting, please just wave at me or something.
I'll let you know.
Okay. No, one of the things that I wanted to say about Giannis is that he's such a throwback. Okay, he's not out there looking for the limelight. And I have two things to say to that, and something tells me that you touch upon this in your book, maybe not using the exact words or analogies that I'm about to use, but in your own way. So two things. Here in South Texas, we're very used to players like that. We've had, our David Robinsons, we've had our Tim Duncans, players that have stayed with the same franchise throughout their entire career, players that don't necessarily go out there and, make all these commercials and try to strike up all of these multi-million-dollar shoe deals and all of that. Don't make all of the highlight reels, on TV and all of that. So it's very refreshing, at least to me as a hardcore Spurs fan. It's very refreshing to me to see someone like that in another market similar to San Antonio's. So when he re-signed with Milwaukee and didn't go to to Miami or to an LA or to a New York, it was so wonderful. It was so wonderful. And I'm not saying that, he looked at someone like Tim Duncan and said, I want to do what he did, which is something that Joker in Denver recently alluded to. So that's number one. Number two, it makes perfect sense because I remember hearing Stephen A from ESPN saying recently that, look, this is Giannis. He has very humble beginnings over in Greece. So to him, a place like Milwaukee is Los Angeles. A place like Milwaukee versus, when compared to where he comes from, is Miami Beach. So the difference to him between Milwaukee and LA is not going to be that different when you compare the difference to him between Milwaukee and where he's from. So that to me was very insightful. And it made things very clear as to where his mindset is at. And so when he re-signed a multi-year contract with Milwaukee, it fit his character perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, it really made sense to me for some of the reasons that you just outlined. And, he's also, it's not just the kind of city it is, right? Tranquil, quiet, respectful, hardworking values. It's the way that they've stuck by him, these people there, and they believe in him. The common thing I heard from a lot of Milwaukee fans is, we watched Giannis grow up. We love him because we've been with him. So I think that, Giannis loves his city as well because they love him so much. I think any other rookie that was on a team that won 15 games like he and the Bucks did in 2013 to 14 would have maybe just put him in the D League, and who knows what would have happened to him. So I think Giannis appreciates that the people of Milwaukee stuck by him, believed in him, and cheered him on from the beginning. And he has never forgotten that. And so I think it's a mutual love, and it's really his home. It's not just where he plays basketball. It's really home.
But the title of your book, Improbable Run to an MVP, that's perfect because he wasn't a number one pick. He wasn't a number two or number three pick. I believe he was a number 15. Correct me here if I'm wrong. 15 pick, first round, but 15th pick. He's not an international star like a Ben Simmons that came to an American university. No, he is legitimate 100% an international player that, went to a European, I'm assuming, I don't know, European university or started playing basketball over there, and then was drafted into the NBA from afar. And again, not as a number one pick or number two or number three pick, but as a number 15 pick, which does not guarantee you being the starter, much less a future MVP or two-time MVP, for a team in the NBA. So it's incredible, very improbable.
Yeah, none of this was supposed to happen. And there were so many obstacles that prevented him from even being scouted. He was undocumented all his life, so he didn't have a passport to go travel to tournaments. Every step of the way, it didn't seem likely he would succeed. And he continued to work and transform his body from super scrawny to what he is now, and maximize his God-given gifts as well. And that's why people love him, because success was not immediate and success was never supposed to happen. I think a lot of us see ourselves in him because so many of us go through hardships, and I think people just find him so relatable.
Yeah, and like Rafa was saying, and like how you said, the transformation of how he was the scrawny kid in 2013 at 20 years old to how he is right now, it's crazy. And how he reached MVP level, and his whole journey is just, it's incredible. And like you said, it's just a humble guy. It's relatable, hard work pays off, and his journey's just it's great to be to witness how it's come along to right now that
Mhm.
the NBA Finals.
Because you forget earlier today, I was Googling pictures of Giannis from his rookie year, and oh my God, it's just such a transformation physically. Incredible.
Yeah,
I didn't even know
it's
that it
unreal.
was the slam dunk contest. I think it was second or third year on. That was something
Yeah,
like, oh wow, I had no idea. I didn't
yeah,
know
with
that.
Oladipo and them. Yeah, it's crazy.
No, and it's funny, little just background here. Rafa was saying, sorry, man, because I'm a fan of the Miami Heat. I've been a fan since Dwayne Wade played for Marquette. So that year that everything, all the rumors and everything was pointing to maybe Miami getting a shot at Giannis. I was super excited.
You were losing your mind.
Yes, but I mean, I'm glad he stayed with Milwaukee, and like you said, like his fans and everything, and it's working out for him so far. So hopefully he'll get that one
You
more.
know what? You know what though? I will say this: he's a throwback in a lot of ways, but oh my God, I read somebody in Twitter said, I think it was Twitter, that it's going to be a big FU to all of the other NBA players creating a bunch of super teams.
I mean, who has the last laugh?
If he
Who's
wins
in
the
the
championship.
finals? Yeah,
Exactly. And who's
Yeah.
about to win the title. I mean, hopefully, because I am rooting for the Bucks.
Jinx it.
I
Don't
am
jinx
rooting
it,
for the
Rafa.
Bucks.
Come on. Still one win away. So August 10th, Rafa, did you already pre-order Mirin's book? I hope so.
Yes, I have.
Thank you guys.
August 10th is the release of Mirin Fader's book, Giannis, an improbable rise to NBA MVP. Anything else you want to talk about, Mirin, right now before we finish up this conversation?
No, I just want to thank you for having me and thank you for pre-ordering. Pre-orders mean so much. So yeah, I'm very grateful. Thank you again.
Thank you, Mirin. Rafa, you want to say anything else before we finish up here?
No, I hate to be so repetitive, but really, thank you so very much for your time. Thank you so very much for your time.
Yes,
Yeah, that was great.
we appreciate
Thank you.
it, Mirin. And hopefully you'll be excited and cheering tomorrow.
Yes, I will.
With the luck, we'll see how tomorrow night goes.
We'll see.
Thank you
Thanks,
guys for tuning in to the Swish. Mirin Fader, check out her work on The Ringer and pre-order her book. It's going to be great. You won't regret it. Comes out August 10th. So thank you guys for tuning in. Catch y'all later.